In the last video, when the grass is very wet, we tend to weed whack all the perimeter first, allow the grass to dry out, and then we do the mowing. Since we're mulching, we don't want to clump and leave a huge mess. But since luckily it's dry, I have Jason mowing the perimeter of everything first, and that way him and I can weed whack. It will cut our weed whacking time by at least half. So it's gonna be a lot easier today. And we brought 2 walkers this time, so that way we have 2 mowers running to be a little bit more efficient. So excited to get that done. And but in the last video, I had a great question, which is, actually I think I had 2 comments, which is there was something missing on our trimmers. As you guys can see, we don't run the Edgit-Pros anymore. And a lot of guys were wondering, I've had comments over the past of why we don't run them anymore. So the reason why I stopped running them was, for one, they just started costing too much money. They were like 70, 80 bucks, and they don't tend to last too long. The plastic tends to wear away. They tend to break and everything like that. But the biggest reason why we stopped using them was the added weight to the front of the trimmer. So when we would weed whack, all that grass would pile on the top, especially if it was wet, and would really weigh it down. And that was causing a ton of strain on my lower back and was leading to a lot of back problems because I was overusing my back muscles. And I'm sure a lot of you guys that do this work probably understand exactly what I'm talking about. So that's why we're also using this Darwin Grip. So they are not sponsoring me. They did not send this to me. This was actually my buddy's, and I wanted to try one. And so we've been running this thing, and so far I really like it. There's pros and cons to it, of course. The pro being that it does save your back. I noticed that I'm not overusing my lower back muscles like I did before, so my back muscles are not completely sore and tight from working all day. So that's the only thing I don't like about it. With it being up so high, there's not as much stability. And also it prevents me where I'm not able to rest my elbow kind of on the engine mount because of the way it kind of sits up. Overall, it's really good. So if you guys do have lower back problems, I would suggest trying this out. I thought that this arm would kind of get in the way of edging, and it seems I've kind of, depending on how you edge, it works for me. So I'm going to be getting footage of this today. That way you guys can kind of get an idea of how well it works and some of the complications and the pros and cons about it. But anyways, we're all gassed up and stringed up, so let's get weed whacking, and then we'll get to mowing, and then we'll call it a day. So with the grass being as dry as it is, we try to cut as low as we can with these walkers. We find that around that 2.5 to no more than 3 inches is like a perfect cutting height for what we're cutting, which is basically fescue. And the reason why we cut it low is the mulching deck, the higher we cut it, the quality of the cut tends to go down. It doesn't really suck up the grass. And so it's been pretty wet the past couple weeks, but now that it's completely dry, we're gonna try to get to that lower level at that 2.5 Usually when we get the irrigation system turned on and we get into some more heat is where we kind of bump it up to no more than 3 inches. So you're not going to see much striping. My clients don't really know what striping is. They don't really care. They like the lines straight. They don't really need the lines. They don't really care, if that makes sense. What they want is they want the grass to look like a carpet. And so that's kind of what we do. And that's why we've been running the walkers and we try to cut it low. So we don't really like to get it too high. Let's hop on this mower and let's get going. So we are all done for the day, guys. The property looks absolutely amazing. Let me flip this camera around to kind of show you how everything looks. Like I said, you're not going to really see the stripes. You see very light lines just because of how low we cut. But everything is just green and lush. Very happy about that. But like I said, my clients are more interested in having it look like a carpet like this. They're not really interested in all the striping and stuff like that, even though they wouldn't mind it, but it's not their top priority. So pretty funny story at the very end. I wasn't recording it. Of course, I wish I was. I got stopped by a resident in a condo next to us complaining about the noise of the backpack blower being too loud and how late it was, even though it's only 6 o'clock. Sometimes it goes a little later. You know, we'll take our time. It's very important for me that the quality of our work stays the same. So if it takes another hour to get the job done, it takes another hour where we're not just, you know, half-assing everything. So with that being said, she was complaining about the noise of the backpack blowers, and the BR800s are a little bit on the noisy side. I will say that. And then Jason was using the 580 BTS from Husqvarna. Not as loud, but she was complaining about that one too. So we'll say I am working with Stihl this year. I think most of you guys probably know that by the content that I've been posting. They will be sending me their BRA600, which is the battery powered video I did a couple videos ago, which I will link up in the corner or whatever. And so I'm excited to test that one out for that specific reason. That's where I feel like for us in the condos, the battery power really does come in handy, is that when there's a job that we're going a little later in the evening, we don't want to be disturbing the homeowners and clients or whatever in their homes, where you hear this big BR800 coming up and just right against your window and door. So that's where I do see, for me, a big benefit in using the battery power. So I'm excited to use that one, and I will be doing a video where I'm testing out how long that battery lasts, because it does have a 18-minute run time. Of course, that's at max power, and that's 18 consecutive minutes. So I'm really curious to see really how long that will drag out, and go from there. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any comments, be sure to leave them down below. And like I said, you know, maybe you'll be featured in the next video. So thank you guys for the support, and I will see you guys next time on Ambro's Landscaping.